Well, hello, big girl. Gabby, do you like to talk a lot? Is that why you're called Gabby? Huh? Is it?
April 08. April 08. Okay, I think we got it.
Gabby.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Feel the energy. Okay, we're going.
Good morning, viewers. We're very happy to introduce Psychic Frank, who does readings for our Axis of Love group each Wednesday. He's been a big factor in my development. I've actually noticed an improvement in my life since having seen Frank 3 or 4 times, and look at Frank talk.
Yeah, okay, I'm a psychic healer. My name is Frank. Gabby, you'll see her later, the parrot, my cohort. And what I do is, I think a lot of psychics have challenges with time frames. That's why I use numerology and astrology for my accuracy. And that's going on 20-something years now. I'm pretty good with that. As a matter of fact, I wanted to show Denise a courtesy of the Mountain Astrologer. It's an old issue from '04, but it's the same chart of America's rising sign. And if you notice, if anybody, astrology isn't too complicated. There's 12 houses, and astrology uses the time, date, and location of the birth. The time is very important because the time of your birth is when your soul and your spirit connect. That's when life begins. Right to lifers, pro-lifers need to know that. That's when life begins. Exactly, when your baby inhales their first breath. That's when. Like Alan, okay, so what we got, I was ready to quote Alan Watts. I was going to say, human consciousness involves both pleasure and pain. To be a conscious human being, but involves both pleasure and pain. To pray for pleasure at the exclusion of pain is, in essence, praying for loss of consciousness. So this is America's rising sign, 1776 there over Philadelphia at 5:30 p.m. when the Declaration of Independence was signed. This is America's rising sign. So your ascendant is what was coming up on the horizon when the thing was born, whether it's a building or a person. And America's rising sign is 13 Sag. Now in 9/11, Pluto, the planet of death, destruction, and rebirth, has transited America's rising sign. That had never happened since 1776. 240 years it takes for Pluto. So your rising sign is your persona. Everything you will say. That was a rite of passage. See, it was important we don't eat the menu instead of the meal. Now, it was important because Pluto is now in Capricorn. It's a whole new order. And according to the Mountain Astrologers, Jeff Drawer, I hope I'm saying the man's name right, I have a problem, Jawer, he's tying in this latest article, the October-November issue of the Mountain Astrologer, an interesting article we'll get to about Uranus square Pluto. Hippie days are here again. In essence, he's saying all of our values from the 60s are now going to come into fruition, especially from June 2001 to March 2015. That's a little ways ahead, so we'll talk more about that later. But what I wanted to say is, okay, so Pluto went into Sagittarius the day of the Oklahoma bombings. On 9/11, we had, Pluto on America's rising sign, and now Pluto's getting ready in a few years to leave America's first house. So by 2012, we'll be out of the woods. That's when I think Draw was talking about the whole shift comes to Aries now. We're in this mystical time now that hasn't happened since the early 1900s. The Uranus and Pisces thing hasn't been happening since the Theosophy movement. And a few weeks ago on that Sunday morning show, I looked up on the TV, and there was Madame Blavatsky, who invented the Theosophy movement. And I right away put up the volume, and I was surprised to hear that the survey of Americans are identified more with spirituality than with religion. I think that's what happened to the Theosophy movement. Once again, Pluto, it's all about cafeteria, Buddhist, Hindu, Jew. Take the pearls out of all the rest, take what you want, leave the rest, but doesn't sit right. So, as I wanted to mention too, tying this right into the cannabis movement. Okay, so Bush took office. I don't call him President Bush. Governor Bush usurped the presidency, and it was between that event and 9/11. I was watching television, ready to go to one of the cannabis clubs to do my afternoon healings and closing a lot of wounds and bringing people into their healing area. And I was on the way out of the house and I turned on CNN and it was live from New York City, Washington Square, and it was under police, New York City police, under the orders of Mayor Rudy Giuliani, with clubs bashing cannabis users. Blood coming off their heads. I'm not trying to bond with wounds here because no good can ever come from bonding with the wounds and victims don't heal, but this was 2000, between the Bush election and 9/11. And I walked into the cannabis club and I was like, wow, turn on the TVs, you see what's going on? And everybody was, well, we're here, it doesn't bother us. And then when today, here we are, November of 2009, and Giuliani's rearing his head again. And then we got the Palin plague on top of us, thanks to, what's his name, the one that was in the box in Vietnam there, the POW who never got help. Well, anyway, it was sort of like Mahatma Gandhi, you know. He said, what do you, they asked him once in the 1950s, he was on a TV show, and they asked him, what do you think of Western civilization? And he says, I think it would be a great idea. You know? So I think, you know, we really have to start really, you know, violence is not the way. Violence, no matter where it comes from, is the act of a pain and twisted soul, you know. So what I wanted to mention now, okay, terrorism's nothing new to cannabis users. And being a homosexual growing up in the 60s, I came out, I was in my 20s in the 60s there, late 60s. I'm old. I'm 61. I was mentioning my age. So I remember when going to a gay bar, you could wake up in jail. You know, if you wanted to go out to a gay bar in the late 60s before Stonewall, that's when it all changed. You took your life in your hands, literally. Your career was ruined. You were like a leper, you know. You were the stigma behind that. So as I said, being gay and raised in New York and out, I totally dealt with the terrorism of being gay, and then being a cannabis user all my life. Oh yeah, you know, the terrorism we all have been dealing with the feds and everything.